he's gauging whether the employer actually, interests his application. And all too often do we just hear nothing.
So before I got into recruitment, I was on the other side of it, and it's been a very interesting journey for me to see two sides of it. When a recruiter used to message me when I was head of sales in my previous role, it used to bug me. I would ignore it, wouldn't bother going back to it. But when it came about that I went to go and look for a new job, little did I realise I probably had burnt some bridges. Because I, just ignored them. You treat recruiters like they don't exist, and it's quite a eye-opener now that I'm on this side of it, that a simple no thank you, I'm not looking for a job right now, or just any sort of kind of engagement. We were using social media for engagement. We're using all of this kind of like these platforms, but people don't want to engage. And I find it's just very strange that someone can't just respond and say, thank you for thinking of me, no thank you right now, but in the future we'll talk.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this one up, because I think I've sat on both sides of it as well. Obviously, heading up the recruitment at a former brokers, and now running my own business and kind of being treated as a recruiter, even with the best intentions. And you do get ignored sometimes. You do chase for feedback. Generally just a candidate wants to work out where his priorities are. If this is a good opportunity, he's gauging whether the employer actually, interests his application. And all too often do we just hear nothing. Now I understand that there is a big recruitment campaign that goes out for per position, and that feedback comes after we've interviewed all candidates. I think that's very much where a lot of clients kind of fall back on the, we want to finish and complete our round of interviews before we feedback. But what should that make a difference on that feedback of that individual? Why can we not go back to them after the interview and say, great interview, really strong communicator, absolutely fits the role, but we have some reservations, in the reasons he's leaving, and we've got 3 other interviews and we'd like to see those out. What's wrong with actually feeding that back to us, because more often than not is like, we've got no feedback right now, we'll come back to you when we've finished our interviews. Well, how does that affect your feedback to that candidate specifically? How did he get on in that conversation? Was he someone of interest? Like, all you've got to do is say, like, yeah, he's interesting to us. Let's manage those expectations to make sure he knows that. That way that candidate feels valued. You leave him with no feedback for 2 weeks, and then he rejects you, and then you complain as to why that candidate wasn't interested. Well, guess what, guys? It's because you didn't give feedback.